The man at table 7, James, was 40 years old. He lived in a big city full of lights, noise, and people. He had a good job, a big flat, and a fast car, but every morning, when he looked in the mirror, he saw tired eyes. He was not sad. He was just empty. One Friday evening, James stayed late at work again. His office was quiet. Everyone else had gone home. He closed his laptop and looked outside. Rain fell hard on the streets. He walked to the train station. His shoes were wet, his coat heavy. The city felt cold. James didn't want to go home. At the station, he saw a small cafe. It was old, not fancy, but warm. A yellow light came from the window. Inside, a few people sat with tea and toast. He went in. "Good evening," said a woman behind the counter. She looked about 60, with silver hair and a kind smile. "Tea, please," James said. She poured the tea, added milk, and gave him a slice of cake. "On the house," she smiled. "You look like you need something sweet." James sat at table 7, in the corner. He looked around. A boy played with a toy train. An old man read a newspaper. A young woman cried quietly while holding her phone. No one looked rich. No one looked powerful. But they looked real. The tea was hot. The cake was soft. For the first time in a long while, James felt something warm inside him. He looked at the woman behind the counter. Her name tag said, Helen. Every day that week, James came back. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Always after work, always at table 7. Helen remembered his tea. She told him small things. About her cat, about the weather, about her favorite old movies. She never asked about his job. One night, Helen said, "You look better now. Less gray." James smiled. "It's your tea." Helen laughed. "Number? It's not the tea. It's the pause. You needed to stop for a moment." That night, James couldn't sleep. He thought about his life, his emails, meetings, his phone always ringing. He didn't hate his job, but he didn't love it either. He wanted something different, something simple, something true. The next evening, James came to the cafe early. He brought flowers. "For you," he said to Helen. "Thank you." She smiled wide. "No one brings me flowers." They talked until closing time. She told him how she opened the cafe 30 years ago with her husband. He died 5 years later. "But I kept it," she said, "because people need a place to sit, a place to breathe." James nodded. He understood now. The weeks passed. James still worked, but something changed. He walked slower. He smiled more. He noticed things, a flower in a crack, a child laughing, the sound of birds in the morning. One rainy Friday, he came into the cafe and saw a note on the door. "Closed today. Back soon." Helen, the cafe was dark. James felt a strange pain in his chest. That night, it rained hard. James didn't go home. He stood under the roof outside the cafe for an hour. The next day, the cafe was open again. Helen stood behind the counter, but she looked tired. "Are you okay?" James asked. She nodded. "Just old bones. I'll be fine." James sat at table 7 and watched her work. She moved slowly. That evening, he had an idea. On Sunday, he came early. He cleaned the tables, swept the floor, made tea. Helen watched him. "What are you doing?" she laughed. "Helping," he said. From that day, James worked at the cafe on weekends. He made toast. He served tea. He smiled at customers. They smiled back. One evening, Helen said, "You're good at this." "I like it," James said. "Better than your office?" she asked. He paused. "Much better." Weeks turned into months. The cafe was always warm. James learned the names of regulars, Mr. Patel, who came every morning for black coffee, Ruby, who brought her baby and read romance novels, Sam, the guitar player who sometimes sang in the corner. James knew their stories. They knew his. One day, Helen sat across from him at table 7. "I want to retire soon," she said. James looked up. "Really?" "Yes, I want to travel, see the sea again, maybe write a little." He was silent for a moment. Then he said, "Don't sell the cafe." She looked at him. "Let me keep it," James said. "I want to make this my work." Helen took his hand. "I think," she said softly, "this table was always waiting for you. The cafe that changed everything." 6 months passed. James now worked full-time at the cafe. He left his big job in the city. Some people called him crazy. Others said he was brave. But James didn't care what they said. He felt calm. He felt useful. He felt happy. The cafe didn't make a lot of money. But every day someone smiled because of it. Every day someone felt better after a cup of tea, a piece of cake, or a kind word. That was enough. Helen came less often now. She wrote letters to old friends and planned a long trip by train across Europe. James still saw her on Sundays. They drank tea and talked like family. One morning, a young man came into the cafe. He wore a suit and carried a laptop. He looked around and said, "Is there Wi-Fi?" James smiled. "Number, but there's good tea." The man sat down at table 7. He looked tired, the same kind of tired James once had. "Long day?" James asked. "Long year," the man said. James brought him toast with jam. The man looked at the food. "I didn't order this." "It's free," James said. "You look like you need something sweet." The man smiled. "Thanks." That night, James remembered his first visit. Rain, heavy coat, cold heart. Now he was the one giving comfort. That was the magic of the cafe. It was a small place, but it gave people space to stop, think, and breathe. One Friday evening, Helen returned to the cafe with a suitcase. "I'm leaving tomorrow," she said. "Train to France, then Italy, maybe Greece." James hugged her. "Come back when you want," he said. Helen looked at the cafe. "Take care of it. This place has a soul." "I will," James promised. That night, James stayed late. He cleaned every table, swept the floor, and watered the small plants in the window. He lit a candle at table 7 and sat down. He thought about the people who came through the door, the woman who cried on the phone, the old man with the newspaper, the guitar player, the mother with the baby, the man with the laptop. He thought about how simple things, a cup of tea, a smile, a quiet chair, could help someone feel alive again. He looked around. The cafe was not big. The lights were soft. The air smelled of cinnamon and tea. It was beautiful. A year later, the cafe had changed a little. There were new chairs, new pictures on the walls. James had painted the front door blue, but the feeling inside stayed the same. People came not for fast coffee or big meals. They came for peace. One day, a woman came in with a young girl. "Is this your first time here?" James asked. "Yes," the woman said. "My mother used to talk about this place. She passed away last year." James nodded with respect. "What was her name?" "Helen," the woman said. "Helen Rowe." James's heart stopped for a second. He smiled softly. "She taught me everything." The woman looked around. "This place, it feels like her." James showed them table 7. "She always sat here," he said. The woman sat down and closed her eyes. "It feels like coming home." James brought them tea and cake, the same kind Helen used to serve. They didn't speak much. They didn't need to. Sometimes the quiet said enough. Every December, James now held a special evening. He lit candles, played soft music, and invited people to read letters or stories. No phones, no loud voices, just warmth and words. He called it the Night of Light. People brought poems, pictures, memories. Some cried, some laughed. All felt connected. That evening, James read a letter he wrote to Helen. Dear Helen, thank you for the cake, the tea, and the corner table. Thank you for letting me stop. Thank you for showing me how small things can make a big difference. The cafe is still alive. People still come. People still smile. I try to make them feel safe, like you made me feel. You were more than a shop owner. You were a lighthouse. And I hope now I am one too. With love, James. The cafe never became famous. It never had signs in the street or big reviews online. But people found it, and once they did, they came back, because in a world that moved too fast, it gave them one rare gift: a moment of stillness. The man at table 7 was no longer lost. He was home,